After World War II, America entered a period of great upheaval, not only in terms of politics, but also in terms of society and technology. The Industrial Revolution and the development of science and technology ushered in new advances in every field. In that context, the world was undergoing a transformation into the space age, marked by novel inventions and unprecedented challenges. However, it was not only developments in the material realm that drew attention. Within American society, a strange phenomenon began to capture the attention of both the public and the government: the phenomenon of unidentified flying objects, UFOs. Stories about UFOs started appearing frequently in the media. American citizens began reporting strange objects in the sky, unexplained lights, and more people started to believe that there might be extraterrestrial life observing or perhaps even arriving from outer space. The Kenneth Arnold incident in June 1947 was one of the first events through which the American public became familiar with the term UFO. When Arnold, a civilian pilot, saw 9 flying objects moving at tremendous speed over the Cascade Mountains in Washington, the event shocked the public and sparked a nationwide wave of UFO sightings. Following that was the Roswell incident of 1947, when an unidentified object was said to have crashed and was subsequently covered up by the US government. At the same time, the United States Air Force began to take an interest in the phenomenon, and in 1948, they established Project Sign to study and investigate UFO reports. This project was an effort to collect data and provide explanations for these strange occurrences. However, it was not surprising that researchers and eyewitnesses alike were unable to find satisfactory answers for these unusual events. This context served as the foundation for the story of the encounter between pilot George Gorman and a UFO on the night of the 1st of October 1948. It was one of the most memorable and mysterious UFO events in history, not only because of the dramatic nature of the encounter, but also due to the serious and organized investigation conducted by the United States military. George F. Gorman was not an unfamiliar figure within the military community. He was a young, disciplined pilot who had undergone many years of flight training. Born in 1923, Gorman joined the North Dakota Air National Guard in 1946. Shortly after the end of World War II, he was one of the talented fighter pilots, highly regarded for his skill and professional attitude toward his duties. Before his encounter with the UFO, Gorman had accumulated several years of experience flying fighter aircraft, primarily the P-51 Mustang, a renowned plane during World War II. Gorman was thoroughly trained at US military flight schools. Upon joining the North Dakota Air National Guard, he was not only a pilot but also a soldier with a duty to defend the nation's skies. During this time, he primarily took part in flight training sessions as well as simulated air combat missions. Gorman took great pride in his work and always carried out his duties with seriousness and dedication. Nevertheless, the UFO incident that occurred on the night of the 1st of October 1948 changed Gorman's life forever. While most other experienced pilots might have dismissed the strange phenomenon in the sky, Gorman was someone who could not easily overlook or explain what he had witnessed. With his serious personality and strong sense of duty, Gorman could not forget the feeling of facing an object that he could not explain with any scientific theory he had ever known. The encounter with the UFO was not merely a personal experience for Gorman, but also a turning point in his military career. After this incident, Gorman was asked to cooperate in the investigation conducted by the United States Air Force, and he became an important figure in the flow of UFO-related events during the 1940s and 1950s. It was Gorman's seriousness and dedication to his work that made his reports reliable in the eyes of both the military and the media. On the evening of the 1st of October, 1948, the sky over Fargo, North Dakota, usually peaceful and uneventful, suddenly became the setting of a strange confrontation between a pilot and an unidentified flying object. That day, George F. Gorman had just completed a routine flight training session. As a pilot in the Air National Guard, he already had several years of experience flying the P-51 Mustang fighter aircraft. That night, after completing his initial training flights, Gorman requested permission from the Fargo Airport Control Tower to conduct a free flight without a specific schedule. While most other pilots had already returned, Gorman decided to continue flying for a bit longer, taking advantage of the calm night sky. Around 9 p.m., while flying at an altitude of about 1,500 feet, Gorman suddenly noticed a strange light in the sky. It was a small light moving rapidly, unlike any aircraft he had ever seen. At first, he thought it was just a civilian aircraft flying at a distance, but upon closer observation, he noticed that the light seemed to move at a speed far beyond the capabilities of any civilian plane. Gorman immediately contacted the Fargo Airport Control Tower to confirm the information. However, the tower reported that, aside from him, there was only one civilian aircraft Piper Cub flying in the area, and no other planes were present. This made Gorman even more suspicious, and he decided to approach the strange object. With his experience and confidence, he began maneuvering his Mustang toward the mysterious light. As Gorman drew closer to the object, he witnessed a scene that remains difficult to explain even to this day. The object did not resemble any aircraft he had ever seen. It glowed brightly, had no wings, and appeared to move at an extremely fast speed with the ability to change direction suddenly, unlike any behavior typical of a conventional fighter plane. As Gorman closed in, the object instantly changed direction, darting upward as if deliberately trying to evade him. This took Gorman by surprise. Never before had he encountered an aircraft capable of changing course so swiftly. For some reason, he felt as though an intelligence was controlling the object, as it seemed to intentionally avoid his every maneuver. Determined to pursue and clarify the situation, Gorman accelerated and climbed higher, attempting to get closer for a clearer view of the strange object. The object quickly altered its course and sped past the Mustang, as if testing Gorman's piloting skills. He continued to tail the object throughout the encounter, executing turns, course changes, and altitude shifts in rapid succession. The object made no sound, a characteristic that struck Gorman as even more unusual. Throughout the entire chase, there was no engine noise or jet sound coming from the object, which was a clear sign that it was not a conventional aircraft. In fact, the object could accelerate suddenly and glide in unpredictable patterns, something no regular fighter plane at the time could perform. The chase lasted for about 20 minutes. Gorman continuously changed his approach and tried to stay as close as possible to observe the object. Eventually, as the Mustang's fuel supply ran low, Gorman was forced to land. He knew he could not continue the pursuit without risking his safety. When Gorman landed and his plane came to a stop, he felt completely stunned. Although the object had disappeared, the event left him shaken. What disturbed Gorman the most was that he could not explain the phenomenon using any scientific theory he knew. This was an event he would never forget, a profound experience that, even many years later, remained difficult for him to comprehend. Although George Gorman was the main figure in this story, he was not the only person to witness the strange event. During the encounter with the unidentified flying object, there were other witnesses who observed and provided crucial information. Their testimonies helped create a more comprehensive picture of the event, making it even more mysterious and noteworthy. One of the most notable witnesses was Dr. A.E. Cannon, a well-known physician living in Fargo, and his passenger aboard a Piper Cub, a small civilian aircraft. On the night of the 1st of October, 1948, Dr. Cannon and a friend took a short flight from Fargo to check the condition of the aircraft. While flying at an altitude of about 1,000 feet, Dr. Cannon and his passenger also saw a strange object in the sky. According to their testimony, the object was glowing brightly and moved at an extremely high speed, far beyond the capabilities of any civilian aircraft. Not only did they see the object, but they also noted unusual changes in its motion. The unidentified object did not just move quickly, it also exhibited an uncanny ability to change direction and altitude. Both men were baffled by what they witnessed, and they returned to Fargo Airport feeling it was unsafe to remain airborne near the object. The testimony of Dr. Cannon and his passenger matched perfectly with what Gorman had experienced. All three described the object in the same way, a light emanating from an unusual object in the sky, unlike any aircraft they had ever seen. This alignment further convinced investigators that the event was not a hallucination or a misunderstanding. In addition to the direct witnesses in the air, there was another crucial witness, an air traffic control officer at Fargo Airport. This person observed the entire incident via radar systems and maintained communication with Gorman throughout the encounter. According to control tower reports, the officer not only heard Gorman's transmissions, but was also able to observe the strange object on radar. However, it is worth noting that the object did not appear on the airport's standard radar systems, despite Gorman's clear description. The airport radar only picked up a signal when Gorman and the object were in close proximity, but this signal vanished immediately once the object changed direction or abruptly disappeared from the radar screen. This further reinforced a critical question. Could the object Gorman pursued have been something other than a conventional physical object? Perhaps it was a phenomenon capable of interacting with or evading traditional radar systems, something that neither military nor civilian technology of the time could explain. One of the most remarkable aspects of this event was the consistency in the witnesses' accounts. Despite being in different locations, Gorman in his aircraft, Dr. Cannon and his passenger in the Piper Cub, and the air traffic controller in the tower, they all described the same characteristics of the object: a brightly glowing light, rapid movement, and inexplicable changes in direction. None of them provided contradictory descriptions of the event, which significantly increased the credibility of the story. This consistency made the incident one of the most prominent and credible UFO cases in history. Without this alignment in testimony, UFO theories might have been dismissed as fantasy. However, with the undeniable evidence and testimonies, the story of Gorman and the other witnesses attracted the attention of both the military and UFO researchers. Following the incident, the United States Air Force began an official investigation led by Project Sign. Project Sign was established in 1947 to study and investigate UFO phenomena, and the Fargo incident of October 1948 quickly drew the attention of experts. Soon after Gorman returned to the airport and reported the event, investigators from Project Sign requested detailed information about his flight. Gorman recounted the entire chase with the object, including his aircraft maneuvers and observations. Military experts and technicians were dispatched to examine the condition of the P-51 Mustang Gorman had flown to rule out the possibility of a technical malfunction. Initially, Project Sign investigators hypothesized that the object Gorman encountered might have been a weather balloon or a rare atmospheric phenomenon. However, after reviewing the meteorological conditions that night, experts concluded that there were not enough factors to support the formation of a weather balloon, as there were no unusual weather conditions. Gorman's rejection of this theory was also adamant. He insisted that the object displayed intentional behavior in changing direction and speed, something a weather balloon could not do. In the end, although no official conclusion was reached regarding the nature of the object Gorman encountered, the incident was recorded in the official files of the United States Air Force as an unexplained phenomenon. Project Sign, despite conducting numerous investigations, did not provide a convincing answer to the event. With the lack of physical evidence and unsatisfactory theories, Gorman and the other witnesses never received a definitive explanation from the authorities. Nevertheless, this incident played a significant role in raising awareness of UFOs within the military and among the public, paving the way for further research into the phenomenon in the decades that followed. After the incident involving pilot George Gorman and the unidentified flying object UFO was reported and investigated, scientists, military experts, and scholars proposed a series of hypotheses to explain the phenomenon. Although no official conclusion was reached, these theories regarding the nature of the object remain an essential part of the analysis of this event. One of the initial hypotheses put forth by investigators was that the object Gorman encountered could have been a military test aircraft, possibly part of Project Mogul, a secret US Air Force program during the post-war era. This project involved testing high-altitude balloons and surveillance devices capable of detecting sound waves, intended to monitor Soviet nuclear tests. Analysts reasoned that the strange object Gorman pursued might have been a military craft conducting tests in that airspace. However, upon reviewing records related to Project Mogul, investigators found no evidence that any aircraft or balloon associated with the project was present in the area on the night of the 1st of October 1948. As mentioned, one of the first theories considered was that the object Gorman encountered might have been a weather balloon or a rare optical phenomenon. A weather balloon is a phenomenon in which glowing gas orbs are created by specific atmospheric conditions capable of moving and changing shape. However, meteorological experts and researchers found that there were no favorable weather conditions that night to produce such a balloon. Additionally, another hypothesis suggested that the strange object could have been an optical phenomenon, such as the reflection of clouds or light from external sources in space. However, when analyzing the testimonies of Gorman and other witnesses, none reported any signs of such elements, and the object's behavior moving at extremely high speeds and changing direction abruptly could not be explained by ordinary optical phenomena. The most widely believed hypothesis, particularly within the UFO research community, is that the object Gorman encountered was a UFO in the literal sense of the term. An unidentified flying object, possibly a spacecraft from beyond Earth. Gorman's account of the strange object with characteristics inexplicable by the technologies and natural phenomena of the time sparked suspicions about the possibility of extraterrestrial life. The object Gorman encountered exhibited features that could not be explained by the aviation technology of that era, such as extremely fast movement and sudden directional changes without making a sound. This led many to believe that the object might have originated from an alien civilization with technology far superior to ours. UFO theories argued that the object could have been a spacecraft from beyond Earth, and that Gorman's encounter was just one of many events signaling the appearance of UFOs in the 20th century. After the incident, although no official conclusion was issued by the authorities, the event had a profound impact on the public's perception of UFOs and extraterrestrial life. This UFO event had a strong influence on the United States Air Force and other military agencies in how they responded to UFO reports. Prior to this incident, UFO sightings were often considered fantasy or unreliable. But after the Fargo event, the US military began to recognize the importance of investigating and addressing unidentified aerial phenomena. This led to the establishment of programs such as Project Blue Book Project that ran from 1952 to 1969 to study and investigate UFO reports. While the US Air Force never issued a definitive conclusion about this event, the story of George Gorman and the other witnesses contributed to increasing public interest in UFO phenomena. The media, especially newspapers and radio stations, reported on this and other UFO incidents, turning UFOs into a hot topic in American society during the 1950s. This was also the period when books, films, and television programs about UFOs and extraterrestrials became widely popular, with notable works like The Day the Earth Stood Still, 1951, and The War of the Worlds, 1953, science fiction films that reflected the deep interest in beings from outer space. For UFO researchers, the Gorman incident remains one of the most valuable pieces of evidence in the search for the truth about unidentified flying objects. After this event, UFO researchers continued developing theories about extraterrestrial life and the appearance of UFOs. Gorman's story not only contributed to building a vital archive in the history of UFO research, but also shed light on the growing public interest in unexplained phenomena. Although many years have passed since the event on the night of the 1st of October, 1948, the incident between pilot George Gorman and the UFO remains one of the most mysterious cases in the history of UFO research. To this day, There is no official answer regarding the nature of the object that Gorman encountered. Despite numerous hypotheses being proposed, the event has yet to be satisfactorily explained. Gorman's case has contributed to the wealth of UFO stories and continues to be a classic example of unidentified phenomena in the sky. This story is not only about a pilot's encounter with a strange object, but also forms part of a larger narrative about humanity's relentless curiosity toward the vast universe and its unsolved mysteries. Thank you for watching the video. Please give it a like, follow me, and don't forget to leave a comment.